Welcome to the Hourly Podcast. In today's episode, Mary Mount, Chief Operating Officer of Delight Restaurant Group, discusses the importance of people within the quick service restaurant industry. She emphasizes that great people are at the core of Delight's business and that the company prioritizes the growth and development of its team members. Mary even shares her own journey in the industry, starting as an hourly worker at Wendy's and working her way up to her current role. Enjoy.
This episode is brought to you by JoJo, an AI virtual recruiter powered by Sprockets. Designed for the hourly workforce, JoJo works 24/7 to source, screen, and schedule interviews with the best applicants for your business. JoJo helps reduce employee turnover and time spent hiring so you and your team can focus on other important tasks. To learn more, head to sprockets.ai/JoJo.
Mary, thanks so much for being on the podcast. You're somebody that I've been following a while on LinkedIn and seeing that you've done amazing things in your career for the hourly workforce and quick service restaurants. So, for those of our audience members that aren't familiar with you, give us a little bit of background on what your current role is and what your company does, please.
Sure. Good morning. So my current role is Chief Operating Officer with Delight Restaurant Group. Delight Restaurant Group is a restaurant franchisee of different brands. We currently have Wendy's, which is the majority of our brands, 198 Wendy's and 29 Taco Bells.
Wow. So 198, that must make you one of the largest operators in Wendy's. Is that correct?
We're up at the top. We're not the number one, but we're aiming for it.
Wow. Congratulations. How long have you guys been around and when did you join the organization?
So Delight Restaurant Group has been around for 8 years,
Okay.
and I joined the organization a year after. So I've been with Delight for 7 years.
7 years. Yeah. So roughly 225 locations in 8 years. That seems crazy to me. Exciting, fun with all of that growth. I mean, how does it feel day to day? As COO, what are you most concerned about or what are you most excited about?
Concerned and excited.
Right.
People. It's people. People, our philosophy is great people are at the core of our business. So that's what I'm concerned about every day. My concern is always about my team, my people, what's next, what can I do to help them?
Yeah. And that's a wonderful segue into kind of what we talk about here on the podcast and what you and I are both really passionate about is the hourly worker, right?
Yeah.
Those that empower the workforce and keep the company moving well, treat our customers and all those things. So talk to me a little bit about, some lessons or maybe, just some reasons why you've come to the conclusion that people is the biggest concern, it is the biggest excitement, because a lot of operators would say food costs. A lot of operators might say real estate. Like, what is it about people and you that make it, that bring you to that?
Well, first of all, Delight really grew in 2021. And the founders who reached out and we found each other a year after they started their business, they wanted to make sure that they grew responsibly. And to do that, you have to have the right people in the right places. And to continue to grow as an organization, we have to grow within. And that's what we have been doing over these last 7 years that I've been with the company and 8 years that they've been in business here.
Yeah, love it. And when you say they found you, you found them. Were you in quick service restaurant before? Maybe bring us through a little bit of your history of how you got to this point today.
Yeah, certainly. It's a good story, I tell you, and I think about it every day, and I'm really amazed and blessed. So I've been at Wendy's for 38 years.
Wow.
Wendy's has been my first job. It was my first job. And so grew up in the organization, covered every position and even some positions that was, just made up for me over this 38 years. And 7 years ago, I decided that I needed to move south. I was living in Michigan,
Mm,
and I needed to move south closer to my parents.
mm.
And I'm vested in the brand. Wendy's has been my life basically, and so I reached out to find. After getting proper release from my previous company that I was working for, which was another Wendy's franchise, um, I found Rich and Andrew Krumholt and found out that they were new in the business and that they might be looking for strong operators with a lot of history and experience in the brand, in the Wendy's brand.
Yeah,
And that's
and
how
no
we
better.
found each other.
Yeah, no better person than you, right? Just 38 years in the restaurant and all of those. What as you look back on your career, what were some of your favorite roles or responsibilities outside of COO? Like, did you love being in the drive-through window? Did you hate being in the cashier? Bring us through just as somebody who's really truly been to both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, because I am the hourly. Yeah, that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
who I am. Best at sandwiches at Wendy's. That was my thing. Is making sandwiches. I'm still really good at it, to be honest.
I believe it.
Um, and, I started off on fries. And
Mm,
so that was my position. I was the fry girl on
mm,
French fries. And, through nuggets, when nuggets came along. And so from sandwich maker, cashier, fry position. And then I got an opportunity to go into what they call a shift supervisor role, which is the entry
mm,
level management role at Wendy's. And was a shift supervisor, moved up to finally being a general manager. And then training was my passion. I became a training
mm,
store manager. And then that's when I really honestly knew that I never was going to go anywhere,
mm.
because as an hourly, you always think, okay, well, what am I going to do next? Like, this is good for now, but what am I going to do next? And that's what I try to show my team is what's next for them every day at Wendy's.
Yeah, that's incredible because now, I mean, there's some quick service restaurant brands that have an average tenure of hourly workers of 56 to 65 days, right? People
Hmm.
join not thinking that's long term. But here you are, which is the prime example of how your life can become amazing through the work of quick service restaurant and ascend kind of out of that, making sandwiches to being the shift supervisor to general manager, turning back and now giving back and having an impact on just so many people. So it's amazing to hear. I mean, it's so inspiring. And I know a lot of people who are listening are probably going to think of you as an example of how they want to treat their people so they come back and contribute to the brand. So I guess one of the questions would be for me is what do you think it was about the work or Wendy's that kept you there for 38 years? Like what do you love about it?
Well, it's the culture. Wendy's, I've been with Wendy's for, like I said, for a long time, through high school, through college, and just the culture is
Mm,
family oriented. And when I say family oriented, that means that there are restaurants where sister, brother, mother, kids work within, that restaurant together. Me, myself, the reason I wanted to join Wendy's was because my older sister and my
mm,
older brother both worked at Wendy's. And so they were able to buy like cool clothes
right.
and new shoes and I was like, okay, I want to do that. Yeah. Sign me up. When can I start working at Wendy's?
Yeah. That's incredible because, it's kind of a tangent, but I have this conversation amongst my peers a lot of just uh, my relationship with my wife. So my wife and I met when we were in 8th grade and we started dating. We haven't stopped dating since. And now it's been, 15, 20 years and we have children and all these things. And we talk because my daughter is very quickly going to be in middle school and high school. And as parents, how and when do you start taking relationships and boyfriends seriously with my daughter? Because that's when we started dating. So if
Yeah.
an eighth grade boy or ninth grade boy starts talking to us, when are you like, this could be a member of our family? And, it is, again, it's a tangent, but it makes me think about, especially with looking at your career, when you start taking the hourly workers seriously, that they could be here long term. Because I think right now, there's a culture or a tendency in quick service restaurant that you see hourly workers and you're like, oh, they're just short term, right? They're just here for a high school job. Or, like I said, the average tenure being less than 90 days. It's like, how seriously do you take them? And my wife and I, for the relationship for my daughter, we say, we're going to take every relationship really seriously because it could be the end. And you strike me as somebody, just based on your experience, of you taking all employees very seriously because you made it to the end and
Yeah.
they might as well. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but any thoughts on that? And maybe that's why you guys have grown so successfully, is you're not looking at these people like cogs in the machine. You see yourself in a lot of them. Speak to that a little bit if you can.
Yeah, where in 2022, I became a partner with Delight Restaurant Group.
Good.
And I became a partner before I became Chief Operating Officer. So I was
Mm,
a VP of Operations. And your point is, when do I or my company or, the restaurant manager or that district manager take our hourly employees very seriously? Is day of orientation.
mm,
If they made it through the recruit and the hire, then that's someone that we want to stay with us throughout their career.
mm.
So day of orientation. At orientation at Delight, you are introduced to what I call your career path,
Mm.
because anyone could go anywhere at Delight. And
Yeah.
so it is something that we show them. It's something that we talk about. It's like, yes, you're starting as a team member today. Tomorrow you could be a shift manager, after you get the experience that we're going to provide for you. If you want to continue to develop your career with us, we're going to be there for you.
And when you say you show them a career path, just tactically for general managers or DOOs trying to adopt best practices, is that like a piece of paper that literally has like the steps, or is that you weaving it into the narrative? What do you do to accomplish that?
It's literally a paper with a diagram that shows your ladder. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I believe, as you said earlier, after 38 years, my main goal right now is to hold people ladder and to keep them climbing as high as they want to climb. That's how I give back. So it is a diagram. It shows all the positions all the way up to district manager.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love that because we talk a lot in the industry about, ascending and making it visible to everyone, but actually having it written down, I think can be really impactful. Especially like I'm a visual person. So if you told me, oh, if you work for a year, you can do this, and maybe 2 years, you can do that, I think it gets lost in a lot of the noise. So like being
Mm-hmm.
intentional and bringing it to the forefront of the person, especially on their first day, I think gets you probably the emotional currency that you need to get them past day 90. And then, as you know, once you get kind of over that 90-day mark, then retention's a little bit stickier, right?
Yeah.
No, but really interesting. So, you said, it kind of starts at orientation, but I'm assuming that you guys have some of your principles kind of in the hiring process. Let's talk a little bit about that if you can. Like, what are some things that you've seen over your career that gets people through the door for recruitment purposes? Like what are these next generation of workers looking for when you're interviewing and talking to them before you hire them?
So first thing they're looking for is fun. Like,
Yeah.
can I have fun here? Can I have
Right.
fun at work?
Right.
And I think that's a crucial part of it. And I think that's what people see. We're on social media to let people see this is what you will get when you join Delight Restaurant Group. Um, we have fun. We invest in our people.
Mm,
Over 80% of our senior leadership team are internally promoted.
that's incredible. That's
Yes,
incredible.
yes, yes. And I think it even gets even larger than that if you go just, below our senior leadership team on a district manager level. It's like 90% of them are internally promoted.
Got it. So it's putting out the fun messaging, showing, I'm sure that you guys have like videos and photos and pictures of team members.
Hmm.
And then again, it's emphasizing early on, even in the hiring process, that yes, you may be starting making sandwiches today. However, in the future, there's a path to GM, AGM, all those different things. No, really, really
Yes.
interesting. And
It's
and yeah, you go.
it's three main things. Of course, fun, like I said, was number one. Number two is respect.
Mm.
Okay. We respect our employees. We value their input. They are an asset to us. They're not a number. They're definitely a name. Over 6,000 employees, and we try our best to make sure they know that we know them. Okay. And then the third thing is intentions.
Mm.
What is our intentions for you now that you have joined the Light Restaurant Group? And I think that's very important because you spoke about relationship. That's how you build a lasting relationship with the person.
So interesting. And when you take me to kind of the inside baseball of how you guys came up with these, three pillars, this strategic direction. There's such, culture is such a funny thing, and every group kind of arrives at it differently. Some people are highly intentional and structured around building culture, where they say, hey, this is what our culture is going to look like. And then we're going to breathe it within the organization. Some people do the bottoms up approach where they kind of wait with very loose parameters and kind of see what their culture is. And then they kind of like take the good, leave the bad. Where are you on that spectrum? Like how does culture derive and drive at the light?
We were very intentional.
Mm.
When we got together, the senior leadership team and I, the managing partners, and thought about what do we want people to know when they start working at Delight. And I spoke earlier on about our philosophy, but we start every meeting, every single meeting, reading our philosophy, right?
Yeah.
And our philosophy is great people are at the core of our business. We pride ourselves in running a meritocracy where success is recognized and rewarded. We look to promote our team from within, and we make examples of people every day as they achieve their professional goals. We are committed to the training and development of our team so that we can execute strong systems that allow us to run great operations and have delighted customers. This results in growing restaurants that allow us to invest in new developments and acquisition, which create further opportunity for our team. It
I have
started from the
chills.
very
I
beginning.
have like chills. That's like incredible. So you read that at the beginning of most board meetings or leadership team meetings.
Every meeting, Zoom meetings, every meeting, we read this first because it helps us stay grounded on what we're going to talk about in that meeting.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I've never heard anything like that. What's interesting to me too is you mentioned that the people who founded Delight, although I'm sure that they would agree, and I agree when at my own company that you kind of have different stages of founders. Like founder is the first person to start it, but as people join on, as company scales, there's like different moments of founding teams. Like this was the founding of our growth. This is founding of the scale. This is founding of that. And Jack Dorsey at Twitter actually talks about that a lot. But when you think about you or your founders not coming from the restaurant space, right? Then
Mhm.
bringing you in with a ton of restaurant experience. What were they doing before that made it so you did things like that at the beginning of the meeting? Because I kind of see like best of both worlds here. Your experience and their business chops, if you will.
Yes.
What are your thoughts
Yes.
on that?
Yes. They're Harvard grads. They're great. They're great guys. They're family guys. But the philosophy came, you know, um, in the second year, right? So
Yeah.
I kind of like joined Delight, and we talked a lot about that. So I think it was a collaboration.
Yep.
We collaborate a lot. It was a collaboration, and it was something that I said, and I'm not one to take props for anything,
Yeah.
but it was something that I said that our team needs to hear this. They need to really understand. And like I said, my third thing was our intentions. And so that's the reason why we say this, and we repeat it, and we have it on our website. If you go to our website, you're going to see this philosophy,
Mm.
because I think number 3 is we want to make sure they know our intentions for them. So
It's incredible. I mean, I love this story, and we are coming up on the 20-minute mark. This is what the listeners are always looking for. So I'll
yes.
end the podcast. Although I feel like we could have a part 2, part 3, part 100. And we really appreciate your time. I asked the same question, but I know the answer because of an opening monologue from you. But what was your first job, or for your case, where was your first job? Geography in the
Mhm.
US. And who hired you? Like, do you still keep in touch with that person, like your first boss ever?
So I am from Columbia, South Carolina.
See,
And
I
my
didn't know that. We're in Charleston.
yeah,
So
I
I had
know.
no
I
idea.
know.
Oh, interesting. Funny.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I graduated from Somerville High School. But I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. And my first Wendy's was on Gardner's Ferry Road. And my boss name, and wait for this, was Dave. And so right after the founder, Dave Thomas. So his name was Dave. And Dave is no longer with us,
Mhm.
but I'm sure he will be very proud of me, because
Yeah.
he was the one that said, Mary, you could go a long way at Wendy's. And that stuck with me
Uh,
as a 16-year-old, as a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah. And that's, I think, one of the nicest things I've heard from this podcast is when people speak so fondly about their first boss. And they say a very similar sentiment to you of, this person believed in me. This person
Yes.
pushed me to think bigger. And, I think there's a tendency when we're dealing with hourly workers to just like bring people in, run them through the motion, and then like they go off and do their things. But one thing I've learned about interviewing amazing, incredible people like you is it really is those initial contacts that give them the belief system that they can go on and be great. So it like
Yes.
inspires me that when I interface with people, just to stop and say like, you're doing really good here, or I
Hmm.
believe in you, or if you keep on this track, like there's nothing you can't do, just because of that story right there and seeing your
Yeah.
accomplished career. But no, again,
Yeah.
Mary, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I learned so much today. You continue to inspire me, and the company growth has been absolutely remarkable. So, congratulations on all of that. If
Thank
somebody
you.
wants to get in touch with you, is the best way LinkedIn? How should somebody potentially reach out and just give some praise or thanks for the podcast?
Well, they could go to delightrg.com, and there's a contact window there. I am, available on LinkedIn and other social media outlets, but they could go straight to our website, and they'll be able to get in contact with me.
All right, perfect. Well, again, thank you so much, and we'll have to catch up soon. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.